Hello and welcome everyone. In this course, you are going to learn how to integrate ChatGPT API with React. It's just a core concept of it. But before creating those projects, we are going to do, we are going to learn React, that what are React, what are the features of React, and how we are going to build this application. We are going to start learning everything from the scratch. First, we'll learn our React basics, which we are going to use for this project. And after that, we are going to learn how to integrate or how to get the API of the ChatGPT and how to integrate with our React app. So the final result will be like this. We got a chat bot where we ask a question and that chatbot using ChatGPT API is going to give us answer. So let's have a look in real. So here I have created it. Okay. So suppose if I ask some question, let's say, what is sun? Now what happened is this chatbot is getting our text passing through the ChatGPT server using APIs and going to get a answer from the ChatGPT. Let's see. Okay. Right now it's taking time because there is a more load on the server of the ChatGPT. And now you can see the answer. Answer is Sun is a star at the center of the solar system, and it's a large globe ball of gas and everything, whatever it's written. So this is how we are going to create, or we are going to learn that how to integrate or how to create an app, React app, and how to integrate that React app with ChatGPT API and ask this kind of questions. So see you, and I hope you are going to enjoy and learn so much things from this course. So see you in next lecture. Till then, take care and have a nice day. Welcome everyone. In this course, you are going to learn that how you can create ChatGPT using ChatGPT API with React. So first of all, in this course, you are going to learn basics of React and how you can create a React project. This is the output of our project or the course which we are going to learn here. So in this course, we are going to design a chat application kind of UI interface through which what we can do is we can write some question here, like as I write here, what is India? And when I hit enter or click on the search button, this data is going to get the data from the ChatGPT API, right? And this is going to show us. So this is the output, final output of our course. But before moving forward, we are going to learn these contents, right? That what is React.js, how we can create a React.js project, and various things which are required to understand the basic understanding of how React works and how we can modify our code to achieve our goal. After understanding all these topics, that what is React.js, how to create React.js project, what is the structure of the project folder, then components, JSX, virtual DOM, React, the hooks, props, conditional rendering, and etc. After learning all those six topics about them, we are going to implement these things in practicals. And after that, we are going to get some understanding about what is ChatGPT, how to use ChatGPT APIs and where to get the APIs keys and different kind of things which are required to create our project. So after understanding all these things, we are going to move forward where we are going to start doing the practical things where we are going to merge whatever we have learned in this course together and create a project or course or project like this, right? So I hope you understand the whole outcome of this course, that what we are going to learn and what we are going to create. So see you in the next lecture where we are going to discuss what is React.js and more. Thank you. Till then, take care and have a nice day. Hello, everyone. So let's begin our first part of our course series. So in this course, what we are going to learn is, in the first part actually, that what is React. So we are going to cover the things which are required to create this project. And in this project, we are going to need React, right? Because in the first, what we have to do is we have to create the UI, right, for our web pages. So user can interact with that particular web pages, right? So to create that web pages, we are going to use React.js, right? So let's understand what is React.js. So React.js is a JavaScript library used for building user interface, which is also known as UI, for web application. So generally, it is created by Facebook and now maintained by the large community of developers. Generally, React allows us developers to create reusable UI components that can be combined to create complex web application. It uses a virtual DOM, which is known as document object model, which will be rendered on our web browser, right? And due to this, React help us to efficiently update the UI without having to re-render the entire page. So this is a basic introduction of the React.js. In next lecture, we are going to learn that how we can create React.js project. So till then, take care and have a nice day. Welcome, friends. So in this lecture, we are going to learn that how we can create React.js project, right? So these are the basic simple steps. First, you should have your system should have Node.js and NPM installed in your system. Second thing is that you have to create a React project using npx create React app and your project name. So let's understand how you can create it, right? So just open a folder where you have to create the project, right? Write cmd because I'm using Windows. So I am through this way I'm going to create or open cmd or command prompt here, right? So in command prompt, you have to just write npx create and dash react dash app. And after that, you have to write your project name. Suppose I'm just writing for your purpose is demo. So what is going to happen in this case, that React is created through this command lines, right? There are some codes which are going to be happened. Besides, there are some scripts which are going to run after hitting this. And it will take minimum 2 to 3 minutes of installations, right? And after that, what you will see is a folder created here. It's a demo, which the name which we have given during writing that particular command, npx create dash react app, right? After this, what is going to be happen is you have to do one more step, which is starting the development server. And how you can start your development server is just you have to move that particular directory or the project which you have given, right? So using cd, then project name, hit enter and start npm, right? So you have to write npm start. We are going to see this all everything that how to run the React project, right? So here, this is taking some time because it is installing some libraries which are required to run a React application, right? Till then, let's understand the folder structure which are required to understand that what folder structure React use. So generally, React has a basic folder structure, right? This is a basic folder structure. We always try to follow this structure, as well as it's depend on us that how we are going to structure our code, right, or our project. For it actually depends on the type of project or the vast how vast that project is, right? So just there are some basic files or the folders which are actually required, and always you will going to see any React project, right? So which is node modules. So in node modules, what happen is, in suppose what happen is in our project directory, these are some folders which are present, okay? So generally most important part is node modules, right? So node modules are the directory which contains all the dependencies which are required by our project, right? And you have the most important thing is that you don't need to edit anything in this directory, because these are the packages or the, we can say, libraries which are required, right? So in this node modules, all the dependencies which are required for the project are kept here, right? We never do anything inside that project, inside that directory. Okay. Now the next one is public directory. So in this directory, it contains the public file that will be served by the web server, right? So in index.html file is the main HTML file for the application. Any static asset like image, fonts can be placed here, right? So we generally, what we do is, this is the most important file. It is the entry point. This is going to be served by the web server on our web browser, right? Understanding? Okay, this file is going to be served, and we are going to put everything which static things which we want to share or want to show during our project. We are going to write it or paste it here. Okay. The next thing is that src. This is the most important, right? Directory. This contains the source code of our application. This directory has some files like index.js, right? So this index.js file is what? Index.js file is the entry point of the application. In this, from this particular file, the application starts. Next thing is that app.js. So app.js is the main component that renders the UI. So this is app.js is required or responsible for rendering the UI. In upcoming lectures, we are going to understand each and everything in very deep. But right now, what we are doing is we are going to understand the structure right now. Okay. When we do practical things, you will going to understand each and every concept. What is index.js, what is app.js, and what are the things required, or what are the things written in these files, especially, right? Suppose you have another file which is index.js. This file contains the global CSS. Okay. So whatever global CSS you want to apply in our project, we try to write it here in this particular file. Apart from this, we also have app.css. These contain the specific app component CSS. Okay. Right. And the next one is, as you can see, you have this logo, see, logo. It's just a image file, right? This file is used to what we can say, to show the logo, right? And we always replace this file, because React provides its default logo, but we don't need that particular logo because our website has its own logo, right? So we always change that particular file. And the most important part is, in src folder we have another folder which is called components, and this component directory contains all the React component for our application. Understood? So these are some basic structure, right? And apart from this, there are two more files are there, which are package.json. This package.json is used to maintain the metadata of our projects and its dependencies, right? Generally what we do is, whenever we install any packages, what happen is that in package.json it makes an entry, right? We got an entry of that particular package and its dependencies what are required for that particular package to run faster or smoother without any error. And that particular package entries are written here, and those particular packages going to install or saved in this particular node module. So we generally don't, and either we generally always never going to do or delete this package.json file, because if we lost this package file, then we don't have any other way to get the dependencies what are required, or what packages are used in this particular project, right? Okay. And the last one is readme file.md. This file is always contain what? The instruction about the project or the information about the project. So these are the basic structure of that particular React project. Okay. Now let's go to the command prompt and let's see that our project or the what we can say, node, or sorry, React is ready to serve us, right? So just what we have to do is, we have to write cd our project name, which is demo, hit enter, and we are right now currently in the demo directory, right? And just we have to write npm start. When you hit enter, a project is going to create, a build is going to create, and our web browser is ready to serve you a file or a project which is created using React, right? So wait a minute and you will going to see the output. Generally what happen is, it is always that React application opens on this particular port, which is localhost, 3000, right? So this is the particular example that how you can create a React application using npm npx. We create React app, right? And this is a basic minimal application which is created, okay, which Reacts provide in the starting. So I hope you understand that structure and how you can create that particular React project. So see you soon in the next lecture where we are going to understand more about React and its core components. Till then, take care and have a nice day. Welcome back, friends. So in last lecture, we understand that how we can create a React app or React application, and as we have understand that what are the project structure. Now let's have a look that what kind of files or the structure that create React app script or that command has created for us, right? So let's have a look. So for opening that, I'm going to use terminal again and I'm going to write code space dot. So after pressing hit, I'm going to get Visual Studio, right? So Visual Studio is getting opening on my system. And here we are going to see the project structure, which we have understand or which last lecture, right? So as you can see here, in last lecture, we have studied or we have go through this part also, right? That what are node modules, right? So node modules are the directory which contains all the dependencies which are required for the project, right? So as you can see here, we have a folder known as node module, right? I'm going to increase the font size so you can see everything perfectly, right? So this is the node module. If I click on it, you are going to see multiple folders inside this, and these folders are the dependencies, right? Which are required to create a React app. So these are the packages which are used to run or create a React app. So these are the packages which are going to store inside the node modules. What else we have studied here is a public folder, right? So public directory contains the public file that will served by the web servers. So as you can see here, we also have a public directory which contains some public files like index.html, that icon, logo, right? And everything which are required here. So in public folder, what we can do is we place the static assets like image, fonts, right? Inside the public folder. Now the next thing is that src folder or the src directory. So let's have a look of src directory, how it looks. So in src directory we have multiple things or multiple files, right? First file is index.js. So this file is the entry point of that application. So we are going to see this, what are this, right? So this index.js file which is opened here is the entry point of what, of our application. So what happened is basically, let's see that this is the most important method. What React DOM dot create root. So what is going to happen? This create root is going to take a reference or the element using JavaScript, right? Which element is going to take whose ID is root, and this element where it is get from, it gets from the index.html file, right? So here you can see in this file you will find out a div having id root. So whatever we are going to see on our web page is going to render through this html file, right, which is index.html, put inside the public folder, right? So its location is inside the public folder. So what happened is when the project going to be loaded, right? So first of all, this index file will open this load. When this load, it get the element or that particular div using this command and create a root. And in this, inside this root, everything is going to be rendered here. So this part, whatever we write inside these things are going to render on this particular HTML page. and we are going to see the output like this, which we are seeing. Now the question arises, where this logo comes from, right? And what is src/app.js, right? So we have to understand this thing is that in index.js we have seen this app, right? And if you think that you never have heard of this kind of tag in HTML, right? So it's not a part of HTML, it's the part of JSX, or we can say it's a part of React. So this app element is, we are getting it from this particular path, and this particular path is here. We are getting this particular component from this this file, which is app.js. So inside this app.js, we have written the code, whatever is happening or rendering over here, right? So for this particular logo, you can see where we are going to get it from. We are going to get it from this particular image tag, right? Inside that, we have written a logo, a path for that particular image. We have applied the CSS classes over here. But in React, we generally use what? We generally use class name to represent the class of the tag, right? So generally in HTML, what happen is, if I have to put any style or any CSS on that particular component, so I write what? Class, right? And in double quotes, I write that particular class name. But in React, instead of using class attribute, we are going to use class name attribute. And inside that double quotes, we have to write that class name. Simple. And these are the things. So what happened is, everything is bind together and exported. As you can see here, we have written export default app. So these particular app things are bind together, exported as a component. And this component has came here, right? We write it as a tag in React, and whatever the written inside the app.js file is coming from there to here, and from here it is going to the root ID. And where is the root ID is defined in the HTML file. So this thing is going to render whatever we are going to write, right? It's going to render. But now the question arises, why we are writing the HTML in .js extension, right? And how we can do it. So it's a feature of React, that React use JSX. We are in next lecture, we are going to understand that what is JSX and how you can create it. So generally in React, everything is components, right? So what we do is, whenever we have to create an UI, we always try to break it down into small components by writing a functions, right? This kind of function, and this kind of function will return a tag, okay? And everything inside the tag we are going to get as a HTML, right? So this is an example of a component and how it's going to, it's the flow. You understand the flow. I hope you have understand the flow, that how this React app is created or generated, right? Where we are getting, how we are getting the data. Suppose instead of editing here, if I write learning, sorry, right? And if I hit send, save, then you are going to see here, when you refresh this page, you're going to get something like this. Oh, we got some error. What kind of error we got it here? If I saved here or not. Okay, one thing is that I never run this project. So I have to run this project. And how I'm going to run this project is by writing npm start. So when I hit npm start, what is going to happen? This whole thing is going to run again, right? And you're going to see the output in fraction of seconds. As you can see here, our page is loading because it's the first time when we do npm start. It takes some time, but after once it will be rendered, then if I change anything, let's see, you are seeing here learning rate. If I change something more, that it's my first class, and save again, then you're going to see it, right? So this is the output which we are creating here. Okay, so till then, take care and have a nice day. I hope you understand everything. If you have any doubt, please rewind the question, this video again. Or if you have any doubt, you can ask me directly through our forum. Welcome back, friends. So in this lecture, we are going to discuss that how we can able to write those code which are possible, which makes possible to write HTML inside a JavaScript, right? So it's a feature of React. In last lecture, we have seen that whatever we are writing here on that particular app.js file, right? We are getting it on our browser, right? So how it is possible, right? And so question arises. So to understand this concept, we have to understand a thing that React provide JSX syntax, right? So what JSX syntax means, let's understand it better way. So JSX is nothing but it's a JavaScript XML, okay? And this extension of JavaScript allows developer to write HTML-like code in their JavaScript file when working with React, right? And JSX is not a separate language, but a syntax extension that allows you to write markup code that looks similar to HTML inside your JavaScript code, right? So as you can see here, we have some JavaScript array, one JavaScript array, and in that array, we are performing a map method, and after our map method helps us to modify the array or iterate over it, right? So what we are doing is we are iterating over an array, and in that particular map function we are returning a li list item, right? So what we are doing is we are creating a list of numbers, right? So these kind of things are possible if you look in the code which is running right now. So you can see here what we have done is we have created a function, and this function returns a HTML thing, right? This HTML code, and in this side the HTML code, what we're doing is after returning that particular function, we are exporting that function, right? And exporting that function as a component. We are using that particular uh, function as a component. Now the question arises, what is component, right? So in next class, we are going to understand about that particular part. Till then, take care and have a nice day. Hello, friends. So in this lecture, we are going to discuss that what is component, right? So in last lecture, we have seen that what we're doing is we have created a function. From inside that function, we have written a HTML code, and that code, that function returns that particular HTML code, and that function is exported, right, from this file and imported in another file, right? And after importing that particular file or that function, we are using that function as a tag, right? And this tag is, we are referring that tag as a component. So what is component? Let's understand. So basically it's a feature of React, first of all. And what feature makes things possible? Let's understand, or let's read, right? So in React.js, a component is a reusable piece of UI, means user interface, that can be used to build the user interface of an web application, right? So what is this? What we can say that whenever we have to create a user interface for our web application, we can use this particular component, and this component is a piece, okay, a small piece of that particular UI. Now, the component can be thought of as independent building block of web page, each responsible for a specific part of that UI that can be nested inside other component to create more complexity, right? So generally what we have, what this thing is going to be, this line is going to tell us that uh, this component might be have independent, or we can say this component may be have complex, or what we can say nested inside other component to create some complex UIs. In upcoming lectures, we are going to create this kind of UIs, so you will understand it better way. It's just a technical part, okay? Sorry, theoretical part. In technical part, we are going to cover everything. So what is React? Component can be classified into two types. So generally there are two types of components in React. First one is functional component, and the second one is class component, as you can say. So right now what component we are seeing is a functional component, okay? So this component is functional component because we are creating this component using a React function or a JavaScript function. There are different ways to create a function which are class-based component, okay, which gives us some extra functionalities because we have a lifecycle available, lifecycle methods available there, right? Which we are going to cover in our upcoming lectures. Okay. Now the component can also have props, right? So what is component have? Component have props, which are the input values passed down from a parent component. Okay, so generally what component can also have is a props. Props means property. In next lecture, we are going to understand everything about props. So generally, I am going to give you an example. Suppose I have to pass some data. Okay, suppose from index.js, I have to pass some data inside this component. Okay, so if I write something here, okay, in different format. Okay, so if I write something here, what is going to be happen? This data will go inside this app component, right? And we can able to get it here. Okay, so in next lecture we are going to understand, and after getting that particular value, we can access or we can use that value here inside whenever, where, whatever we want, okay, to show or display, right? So this is the props get at the actually, oh sorry for that, props also have component also have props, which are input values passed down from a parent component, and this allows component to reuse with different data, making them more versatile and reusable, right? So this props feature inside the component gives functionality or makes component reusable with different data and making them more versatile to use. Okay, so as a programmer, as a designer, or as a React developer, we always try to create our component more reusable, right? So we send some data, and on the basis of that particular data, we try to use that component as a part of reusable. Okay, so we can reuse that particular component again and again, and we don't need to create more line of codes or more components in our projects, right? So these are now for the component, right? In next lecture, we are going to discuss about props. So till then, take care and have a nice day. Hello, everyone. So in this lecture, we are going to discuss about what is props. So before discussing it, I will show you an example and you will find it that what is props, right? Suppose I have to pass a data as we have discussed in last lecture. Okay, I have to pass a data from this index.js file, right, to where I have to pass this data to index.js to file to app.js file. Okay, so then how it is possible? So first of all, understand this, that everything in React is a component, right? So we have created one component. This is also a component. Which component? App.js is a component. So how to pass data? Using props. And what is props? So let me show you an example. Suppose I have created a let's say title. Whenever I write attribute inside what? Inside a component or a tag like a structure. Okay, this app is looks like a tag, right? It's like a self-closing tag, but it's not a self-closing tag in HTML. It's a component in React, right? So when I write an attribute, suppose title here, and like if I pass this string, okay, assigning this title a string. What title? Let's say hello world, right? So what I have done is I have assigned an attribute. I have created an attribute title and assigned a value hello world, right? If I save this, now I have now I can get that particular title here or a string here, right? And if I print here, let's say p tag, okay, inside that p, if I write curly bracket and tag and write title, then you can see here on the web browser that we got that particular string. So this is the concept of props. Props means property. So if I have to pass a data from one component to another component from here, this file to this particular file, then how I'm going to do that? Using props. So it is a very easy way to share data from one component to another component. So let's understand what is prop. So in React, prop, short for properties, it's an object that allows data to be passed between components, right? Props are used to pass data from parent component to child component. A parent component can pass props down to its child component by including them as an attribute in a child component JSX text, right? The child component can access that data passed through the props object and use it in its rendering, right? So as you can see here, that I have passed a data hello world as a props inside title, and I'm getting that particular data, which is hello world, in that function or in that component, and I'm using that, and we are rendering that particular hello world. If you change anything, it will change here, reflect the change here, right? So this is the concept of props. In next lecture, we are going to discuss more about React. So till then, take care and have a nice day. Hello everyone. So in this lecture we are going to discuss about React Hook. It is one of the most important topic which are used while developing a React application. As we have discussed, right, right now we are using functional based component, right? If I show you that particular code, right now we have understood that there are two kind of components in React. First one is a functional component which we are using, and second one is class based component, right? So in functional based component, to create some states, right? Suppose I have to save some value or to store some information regarding a component. So for that particular part, what I have to do is I have to create a state or a storage or a variable, right? To store that particular value. But in React, we doesn't define a variable, we defined a state, and that particular state comes from a hook. So first of all, let's understand what is hook, and when we create our application, then we will understand everything, okay, in our technical section. So in this section, what I'm going to tell you, what is React hook. So React hook are the functions that allows developer to use state and other React feature in functional component which are previously not available in class, which are previously available in class component. So as we discussed that there are two kind of component, functional component and class component. So generally class component have rich functionality during the beginning of that of React, but in functional components are known as stateless component because they don't have uh, power to manage its own state. But after introducing of hooks in React, this functional component become more uh, what we can say more uh, this component got some more features which are useful during the web development. Okay, now so hooks provides a way to reuse the stateful logic without having to use classes component, which makes code easier to read and maintain. So generally what happened is after the introduction of hook, we got some uh, power that we can create our functional component in a way that we can reuse that particular component again and again for different kind of logics, right? Now, what are the React hooks? Means we can say there are some several built-in hooks which Reacts provide. Are first one is use state. So what use state done is using use state allows component to manage state variable. Okay, so whenever we have to manage some variables or state inside a component, we are going to use use state. The next one is use effect. So use effect allows component to perform side effects such as fetching data or updating the DOM. So using whenever if we have to fetch some data through an API or I have to perform some what we can say some updation in the DOM, okay, or in the front side of the website. So what I'm going to use is use effect. What is callback, right? So one question arises here that what are these things? How I'm going to use that? Okay, so you don't have to worry about it. It's just a theoretical part. In practical part, we are going to understand each and every line. Okay, so don't think more about it. Just understand the concept. What are hooks and what are the types of hooks available in the React. Now, if we talk about use callback, so callback allows component to memorize functions and prevent unnecessary rendering. So callback, basically what is the callback thing is, it is used to memorize the function. Suppose if I have a complex function which takes so many resources or memory consumption, right? So instead of for particular same parameters, I'm not wanted to execute that function again and again for the same parameter. So what I do is I use callback. So if the parameters are same, we this component is not going to re-render. It just give us that particular answer or output. Okay. Now next come is use memo. So what is use memo? It's also similar like use callback. Okay. So use memo allows component to memorize the expensive computation and prevent unnecessary rendering. Okay, so in this case particularly what we have memorized is the value, the function which returns the value. We are going to memorize that particular part. Okay, the next one is useref. So useref allows component to access the underlying DOM node from a component. So whenever if I have to directly access that particular DOM or the element in the component or that particular DOM structure, then I'm going to use useraf, right? And say, next one is use reducer. So it allows component to manage states with reducer function, similar how Redux works. So Redux is a different topic in like separate topics which are generally used in React application. But in after, if we need that particular part, then we are going to discuss more about it about Redux. Right? But reducer क्या करता है? Reducer will help us to allow component to manage states. Okay, similar kind of things which we used in user state. Right now, after all those things, I hope you understand the basic understanding of hook. When we do practical things, I'm going to repeat those particular hooks which are most used, right? Which are use state and use effect. So for this particular lecture, we are going to stop. Okay. If you have any doubt, you can ask me through the chat, or otherwise you can also, if you have some doubts, you have to search all this particular thing by yourself, right? Because self-study helps you to do better. Okay. So till then, take care and have a nice day. Hello everyone. So in this lecture, we are going to discuss about what is conditional rendering in React. First of all, whenever we have to hide some data, suppose if I have to hide some data or show some data on behalf of some other values, so then we use conditional rendering. Okay. So conditional rendering is a technique in React that allows developer to control what get rendered in the UI based on certain conditions. In other words, condition rendering allow developer to render different UI component or element based on some conditional or states, right? Suppose I have some condition on the particular condition. I want to show some card to the user, or in some particular condition, I don't want to see that want to show that card to user. So for that particular task, I'm going to use conditional rendering. Suppose, for example, let's say you have a login form in your React application, and you only want to show the form when user is not logged in, right? So for that particular task, what we can do is we can create this kind of code. So as you can see in here in the example, I've created a variable, right? It's is logged in, which is false. Suppose when the value of this particular variable is false, then we are using what? We are using ternary operator. I hope you have understood. You have understanding of that particular ternary operator what do. But if not, then I'm going to show you something. Okay. Suppose if I have first understand what is ternary operator. Ternary operator works on a condition. After that condition, we have to write question mark and then column. So if condition returns true, if this condition, whatever condition I'm writing here, if it evaluate and returns true, then this particular code will execute. Okay. And if this condition return false, then this line after that column, the right part of the column is going to execute. So this is the concept of ternary, right? So in conditional rendering in React, we generally use either ternary or this AND operator. So in this particular case, in an AND operator, what happens is if we have a condition here, if this condition returns true, then this particular part will execute. Okay. If condition is false, then this part is not going to execute. Okay. So these are two things which we use, generally we use to perform conditional rendering. Okay. While doing some implementation, we are going to understand all those concepts. Okay, so here what we are using ternary operator. So the current value of logged in is false. So if this value is false, then what component is going to be logged is logging form. Otherwise, if I change this value to true, then what component or what things we are going to say is welcome back user, right? So these are some concept due to through which we can do what we can perform some conditional rendering, what to show to the user or what to hide from the user, right? So I hope you understand the concept of conditional rendering in React, and this is for today's lecture. Till then, take care and have a nice day.